The weather has held, hasn't rained. At one point it got quite dark. It lightened it up a bit. It rained last night, came on immediately, 100%. No warm up. At about 11, rained for about half an hour and stopped. No further rain as I recall. I think flies were dry when people, for the tents that were outside. The shelter was pretty full. There were quite a few people who showed up by the end of the, quite a few people by the end of the day who showed up. The usual people getting up really early. Some people who got up early were still there when I left. I think we're going to, what is it? I can't remember what it's called now. It's like a 12 mile walk. So it'll be a longer one. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. Almost the same elevation. But a hill like this, followed by down, followed by up. Oh, the pain in my shoulder had to hit me a couple times this morning. It was like a knife. Wow, painful. I grimaced. Don't know what it is, but it's not going away. And I'm not liking it. And there's this big drop. It's like, wow, where did all that rock come from? And I just was speaking to a much older, there's a bit of sun popping out here and there. Speaking to an older ThruHiker who knows a little more of the history. He used to live in Vancouver apparently for 15 years, but he lives about 100 miles from here. And I guess there was an organization during the Depression. The initials were CCC, Core Conservancy, something, corporation perhaps, that hired out of work men to work on the trails, among other things. And some of these bits of trail have rock piled up like in slabs, like a wall to support it, and it was all from their time. And among the work that needs to be done, I guess weekly or monthly, just to keep the trail going, like this tree here, opening up the path. A lot of effort to make a trail through the Smoky Mountains. He talked a little bit about how I guess there were towns and people owned land and it was all bought up and people kicked out to form the Smoky Mountain Park, which is where a lot of the hostility comes from some people toward the government. And the idea of charging money to use the park when that used to be their hereditary land and they don't think they should have to pay, which I can understand. But it just makes it so difficult for money to be raised through land use to help keep the trails in shape. So a little bit of history there. He also talked about the knock. Part of the Trail of Tears, I guess it was the Apache or Navajo, I can't remember, who were driven from their land and forced to move, I think it was to Utah, something like that. Completely different territory because the government wanted wherever they were, they wanted that land. So the things we do for commerce and what we think is the right thing, and don't think about the people that we're affecting, what the long-term effects might be. Oh well. So much for the negative stuff of the trail. It hasn't rained yet. It's just been very damp and occasionally a little bit windy. Not very windy. There have been a couple scenic views where there was no noise whatsoever. And then as soon as I moved off and began walking, there'd be like a howling wind come through for a few seconds. I can never be sure what's around the corner. I just took a little break here at Peck's Corner Shelter Turnoff on the trail. A sign up there. Down in the bush down there somewhere. As you can see, the sun is kind of poking out every now and then. So at the moment, got my raincoat inside out, hanging on my trekking poles here. Don't have any service, so I can't call anybody, check mail or anything like that. Oh, another Sunday has come and gone, and haven't had my regular call to Mom. Hi, Mom. Thinking of you. Thinking of my feet a lot too, though, so it's all relative. I suppose I'll see someone coming along sooner or later. Thought I'd take a break here. Had an energy gel thing and a little Snickers fun size and a bit of water. I've got 1 liter left. The stream is back there, 0.1 mile, but it was just a trickle, and I didn't want to just figure out how to collect the water to drop into a bottle. Oh, I think I see Rufus coming down the truck here.
Are you all right, Great Scott?
Yeah, just taking a break.
Okay.
So he caught up to me. Oh, I must have been doing really horribly. So, anyway, yeah, not much else to report. Nothing. It's nice when the sun comes out. I have to take my walk without my raincoat, I think. And my tops of my pants were wet.
dripping. I didn't see any blood dripping.
Except there was. You got hair in your
Yeah,
lip.
my glasses rammed into my face, I guess. And once I felt like I was okay, I started pulling myself up, and then luckily 3 hikers came by. And I found my glasses laying in the woods.
Oh, yeah,
I found
yeah.
my trekking pole. Picked them up. I handed my trekking poles to the 3 hikers. Then somebody reached out their hand, pulled me up. Quite an experience.
No broken bones,
No broken
no
bones.
lacerations,
I got a fat lip and a cut on my
Yeah.
nose.
and a good story.
You lose weight anyway.
Well, it's getting close to bedtime, at least hiker bedtime. A lot of session hiker and day hikers in the shelter in the area. It's about a 20 person shelter. A lot of people have set up tents because they don't want to be in the shelter, which is fine. They're able to find spots. Trail runner isn't here to tell people not to. Rufus is already laying in his sleeping bag, probably been sleeping or trying to for the last hour or so. A lot of people are pretty loud talking just outside the tarp. So it's like they're right there in the room. Occasionally someone will light up a cigarette 10 feet away from where everyone else is eating, which to them is far enough, but not to people like me or Rufus. That's kind of ignorant. And I don't know, I've got a extended belly tonight, I know, from maybe what I ate, which was hickory smoked bacon and mashed potatoes, not a lot of flavor, and some tuna and ranch with dressing. I also had some candy, and I had lunch when I got here, which was cheese and pepperoni and a roll, or a tortilla, 1 or 2 of those, and a lot of candy. I don't think anything had to do with the candy, though. I'm sure. Yeah, I think tomorrow will be a bigger hike, probably in the neighborhood of 18, but most of it's downhill, and that should take us out of the Smokies, and which means we can camp where we want if we want, and I guess we'll figure out where our next stops are on the way to Hot Springs. Today ended up nice with blue sky and sun, although it didn't start very well. It was kind of miserable, just having to wear the raincoat and having all the sweat. Finally took that off after a break when Rufus caught up to me, and yeah, just a little bit of an uphill tomorrow morning, and then maybe a little zigzag, and then a long downhill, so it'll be hard on the knees. Yeah, no service here again, so can't call anyone, text anyone, let them know where I am. And I feel like just getting into the sleeping bag and just laying there, maybe listening to music or a podcast, I think. Just not feeling very sociable today, or this evening. I don't know, maybe it's because of all the people I don't know and they're all socializing with one another. A lot of us older folk. A little bit of a story there where Bronx, which I think we're now calling Sarge, I guess he tripped on a root and fell about 20 or 30 feet down an embankment, kind of like this, and landed against an old dead tree and completely demolished it. I saw the photograph that one of the other guys had taken where it was kind of blown apart, and nothing other than where his nose is with the glasses. I had a little bit of a cut there, but other than that, everything was fine. So amazingly, it turned out good. So could have been a really bad story, but apparently he'd pulled halfway out before the people got there, and they gave him a hand. And I think the pack on his back probably saved him from a lot of pain. I had that happen once, falling on my back with a pack, and it's a big cushion on your back. So I think I'll wrap it up for tonight, and see you tomorrow.